The conference room felt like a freezer when Marcus Webb started laughing. Not a gentle chuckle, but a full mocking laugh that made everyone shift uncomfortably in their seats. I stood frozen at the front, my presentation glowing on the screen behind me. My hands gripped the clicker so tight my fingers hurt. 3 months of sleepless nights had gone into this pitch. Marcus wiped his eyes dramatically. "Maya, this is adorable," he said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "You really think a digital customer relationship platform will revolutionize our industry? We're a consulting firm, not a tech company." The other executives avoided my eyes. Sarah from operations cleared her throat awkwardly. "It's creative, Marcus, but probably not realistic for our business model." My face burned with embarrassment. This wasn't just any idea. I'd spent months researching how companies lost clients because they treated them like numbers instead of people. My concept was simple. Use technology to build genuine, personalized relationships with every client. Marcus stood up, buttoning his expensive suit jacket. "Maybe stick to what you know, Maya. We need practical solutions, not fantasy projects." Meeting dismissed. Everyone filed out quickly. I stood alone, staring at my slides, feeling completely crushed and humiliated. I sat in my car for 2 hours after that meeting. The parking lot emptied as everyone drove home. The rejection played over and over in my mind like a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. Marcus's mocking laughter. Sarah's dismissive tone. The way everyone looked at the floor instead of supporting me. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend, Lisa. "How did the presentation go?" I couldn't answer. The shame felt too heavy. I'd worked at Sterling Consulting for 7 years, climbing from junior analyst to senior strategist. This presentation was supposed to be my breakthrough moment. Instead, it felt like the end of everything I'd worked for. The sun was setting when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Maya Chen?" a woman's voice asked. "Yes, who's this?" "Someone who saw your presentation notes circulating internally. They're calling it impractical, but I think it's brilliant. You should know that Sterling is making a huge mistake." The line went dead before I could respond. I stared at my phone, confused and intrigued. Who was that? How did they see my presentation? My email pinged. The message was from a former colleague, David Torres, who'd left Sterling 6 months ago. "Heard about today. They're idiots. Call me if you want to discuss opportunities." Opportunities. The word hung in my mind all night. I didn't sleep. I lay in bed replaying every moment of that humiliating meeting. But somewhere around 3 a.m., something shifted inside me. Anger replaced shame. Why should Marcus's opinion define my idea's worth? By sunrise, I'd made a decision that terrified and excited me. I was going to leave Sterling Consulting and build my idea myself. I spent the entire weekend writing a business plan. My savings account had $53,000. Not much, but enough to start. On Monday morning, I walked into Marcus's office and placed my resignation letter on his desk. He looked up, surprised. "You're quitting? Because of one rejected pitch?" "No, because I believe in my idea even if you don't. I'm starting my own company." Marcus smirked. "Good luck with that. You'll be back in 6 months asking for your job." I walked out without responding. The next 2 weeks felt surreal. Colleagues whispered when I walked by. Some looked sympathetic. Others seemed to think I was crazy. Lisa tried to be supportive, but clearly thought I was making a mistake. "Maya, you're throwing away a stable career for an idea Marcus called impractical. What if he's right?" "Then I fail," I replied. "But at least I'll know I tried." My last day at Sterling was quiet. I packed my desk while former colleagues avoided eye contact. My new office was the spare bedroom in my apartment. 1 desk, 1 laptop, 1 dream. I named my company Connect Core Solutions. The concept was straightforward but powerful. help businesses build authentic relationships with clients using personalized digital tools. Theory was easy. Reality was brutal. I spent the first month making cold calls to potential clients. Every conversation ended the same way. Thanks, but we already have a system. Interesting concept, but we don't have budget right now. Maybe next quarter. By week 5, I'd contacted 180 companies. 0 clients. My savings dropped to $47,000. I started waking up at 3 a.m. with panic attacks, wondering if Marcus had been right. One evening, while staring at another rejection email, I remembered the anonymous call from my last day at Sterling. Someone had believed in my idea. On impulse, I searched online for entrepreneur forums and found a community called Founders Circle. I created a profile and posted, "Just left my corporate job to start a business. Feeling lost and doubting everything. How did you push through early rejections?" Within an hour, I had 20 responses. Most were encouragement. But one message stood out. It was from a user called Mentor M. "Maya, rejection is data, not destiny. Focus on small businesses first. They need your solution more than big corporations realize. Want guidance? I'm here." Mentor M's message felt like a lifeline. I replied immediately, explaining my concept and struggles. Their response came the next morning. "You're targeting the wrong market. Large corporations have established systems and resist change. Small businesses with 10 to 50 employees desperately need better client relationships but can't afford expensive enterprise software. That's your opening." The advice made perfect sense. I'd been trying to sell to companies like Sterling when I should have focused on smaller firms struggling with the same problems. I adjusted my strategy completely. Instead of cold calling big corporations, I started reaching out to local businesses. Accounting firms, law offices, marketing agencies. The response was completely different. "This is exactly what we need. How much does it cost? Can you customize it for our industry? When can we start?" Within 2 weeks, I landed my first client. Martinez and Associates, a small accounting firm with 15 employees. They agreed to a 3-month trial for $2,000. It wasn't much, but it was validation that my idea worked. That night, I sent an excited message to Mentor M. "I got my first client. Your advice about targeting small businesses was perfect." Their response came quickly. "Congratulations. Now comes the hard part. Delivering results. Don't just meet expectations. Exceed them. That's how you build a business that lasts."
Refusing Sterling's acquisition changed everything. Industry publications wrote about this small startup that rejected millions to maintain its values. The publicity brought unexpected attention. Within weeks, I received inquiries from companies in 8 countries. A Canadian marketing firm wanted Connect Core services, then a UK law office, then an Australian tech startup. International expansion happened organically. I hired country representatives who understood local markets while maintaining our core philosophy. By month 11, we had 47 clients across 4 countries. Revenue reached $112,000 monthly. Then a former Sterling competitor called. Velocity Consulting, one of Sterling's biggest rivals, wanted to discuss partnership opportunities. "Maya, we've watched you build something special. What if Velocity and Connect Core partnered? You'd maintain operational independence, but we'd provide resources and our global client network." The offer was tempting but complicated. I posted on Founders Circle. Received partnership offer from major firm. They promise independence but want access to our methods. How do I know they won't become another Sterling? Mentor M's response was longer than usual. "Maya, it's time we spoke directly. I've been guiding you anonymously, but you've reached a point where you need complete transparency. Can we schedule a video call?" My heart raced. After months of anonymous mentorship, I was finally going to meet the person who'd helped me through every major decision. The video call was scheduled for the next evening. I was nervous, excited, and curious about who Mentor M really was. When the call connected, I saw a woman in her 60s with silver hair and kind eyes. Maya, I'm Margaret Lee, former CEO of Horizon Global Consulting. I retired 5 years ago after building a company from nothing to $800 million in annual revenue. My jaw dropped. Margaret Lee was a legend in the consulting industry. You've been helping me this whole time? Why anonymously? Margaret smiled. Because the best mentorship happens when people find their own answers. If I'd introduced myself immediately, you might have relied on my reputation instead of building your own strength. I've been watching your journey because you remind me of myself 30 years ago. She explained that she'd heard about my rejected pitch through industry connections. When I learned Sterling dismissed your idea, then copied it poorly, I knew you were onto something special. I started following your progress through Founder Circle. We talked for 2 hours. Margaret shared her own story of rejection, struggle, and eventual success. She'd faced similar challenges with people stealing her ideas and competitors trying to crush her. The difference between success and failure, she said, is refusing to compromise your values for convenience or quick money. She explained that she'd been guiding me toward this exact moment. You're ready for the next level, but you need the right partners. Margaret revealed something shocking. She was on Velocity Consulting's board of advisors. Margaret's connection to Velocity Consulting changed everything. I've been working behind the scenes to structure a partnership that protects your vision, she explained. Velocity wants your expertise, but I've negotiated terms that guarantee your operational independence. The proposed deal was comprehensive. Velocity would invest $5 million for 25% equity. ConnectCore would maintain complete control over methodology and client relationships. I'd remain CEO with final authority on all strategic decisions. Most importantly, our core values of authentic personalization couldn't be compromised. This isn't like the tech venture offer, Margaret assured me. These are the right partners for the right reasons. I spent a week reviewing terms with lawyers. Everything checked out. Velocity's leadership genuinely understood and respected what made ConnectCore special. I signed the partnership agreement on a rainy Tuesday morning. With proper funding and Velocity's global network, everything accelerated. We expanded to 12 countries within 6 months. Hired regional managers. Opened international offices. My team grew to 43 people. But success came with unexpected pain. My former business partner from early ConnectCore days, someone I'd trusted completely, tried stealing our client list to start a competing company. The betrayal hurt worse than Marcus's original rejection. I messaged Margaret in despair. Someone I trusted betrayed me. How do you handle that? Her response was immediate. With grace and boundaries. Fire them. Protect your clients. But don't let their actions make you cynical. Most people are good. Focus on them. The betrayal forced me to implement better security and vetting processes. I rebuilt trust with my team and clients. Within 2 months, we'd recovered completely. Then Sterling Consulting made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Their digital platform had failed spectacularly. Multiple clients sued for breach of contract. The board removed Marcus as VP. Sterling's stock dropped 38%. Industry analysts blamed poor leadership and lack of genuine innovation. I didn't celebrate their failure. Margaret had taught me that real success isn't about competitors losing. It's about your own growth. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel validating. ConnectCore continued thriving. We secured contracts with Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, and international corporations. Revenue reached $2.4 million annually. Then I received an invitation that changed everything again. The Global Business Summit wanted me as a keynote speaker. This wasn't a small conference. It was the industry's biggest event, attended by CEOs and leaders from around the world. I prepared for weeks, working with a speaking coach Margaret recommended. The night before my presentation, I could barely sleep. Margaret called to calm my nerves. Maya, you've already succeeded beyond most entrepreneurs' dreams. Tomorrow is just sharing your story. Be authentic. That's always been your strength. The next morning, I stood backstage listening to my introduction, about to tell my story to 3,000 people. I walked onto the Global Business Summit stage to thunderous applause. 3,000 people filled the auditorium. I took a deep breath and began. 18 months ago, I stood in a conference room presenting an idea I believed in. My boss laughed at me, called it impractical, then dismissed me completely. That rejection became the best thing that ever happened to me. For 30 minutes, I shared the complete journey. The humiliation at Sterling. The decision to start Connect Core with limited resources. The anonymous mentor who became my guide. The struggles, betrayals, and eventually success. The audience was completely silent throughout. When I finished with my message about staying true to your values despite rejection, the ovation lasted nearly 4 minutes. People stood, applauded, even cheered. Afterward, dozens of business leaders approached me. CEOs wanted partnerships. Investors offered funding. Media outlets requested interviews. But the most meaningful moment came from a young entrepreneur who waited until everyone else left. Miss Chun, I'm James. My company rejected my idea last month. They said it was too unconventional. Your story gave me courage to pursue it anyway. I gave him my card. Email me. I'd love to hear about your idea. That interaction reminded me why I'd agreed to speak. Not for publicity, but to encourage others who'd been dismissed like I had. Within a week, I received offers from investors wanting to take Connect Core global at massive scale. The investment offers after the summit were overwhelming. But one stood out. Harrison International, a venture capital firm specializing in purpose-driven businesses, offered a deal that aligned perfectly with our values. They wanted to invest $20 million to expand Connect Core to 50 countries within 3 years. In exchange, they'd take 30% equity, but guaranteed I'd maintain operational control. Margaret reviewed the terms carefully. This is legitimate, Maya. Harrison has an excellent reputation. They invest in companies they believe in and support their vision long-term. I negotiated final terms over 2 weeks. We agreed on 30% equity for $20 million, with absolute protection for our core values. The day I signed, I thought about that conference room at Sterling. How Marcus's laughter had felt like the end of my career. If someone had told me then that 18 months later I'd sign a deal valuing my company at over $60 million, I would never have believed them. The next 6 months were the most intense of my life. We opened offices in 23 countries, hired country managers, created systems to scale our personalized approach globally while maintaining authenticity. Revenue exploded. We reached 190 clients across 5 continents. Monthly revenue hit $470,000. Connect Core employed 138 people. But rapid growth brought new challenges I hadn't anticipated, especially regarding my personal life and family relationships. Success had cost me more than I realized. My relationship with my family had deteriorated. I'd missed my nephew's graduation, my sister's wedding, countless family dinners. Work consumed everything. My mother called one evening, her voice tight with hurt. Maya, you've become so focused on your business that you've forgotten about the people who've always supported you. Your sister needed you at her wedding. You didn't even show up. The guilt hit hard. She was right. I'd been so obsessed with proving myself, with building something significant, that I'd neglected the relationships that actually mattered. That night, I received a letter from my younger brother, asking for help with his struggling startup. We hadn't spoken in 6 months because I'd been too busy to return his calls. I called Margaret in tears. I've built this successful company about authentic relationships, but I've destroyed my own family relationships in the process. What kind of hypocrite does that make me? Margaret was quiet for a moment. A human one. Success often comes with sacrifice. But it's never too late to rebuild what matters. Your business will survive if you take time for family. Will your family relationship survive if you don't? She was right. I immediately restructured my schedule. Hired a chief operating officer to handle daily operations. Blocked out family time as sacred, non-negotiable appointments. I flew home to apologize to my family in person. Reconnecting with my family took months of consistent effort. Showing up for dinners. being present at events, actually listening instead of checking my phone constantly. Slowly, relationships healed. My brother and I rebuilt our connection. I even helped him with his startup, applying lessons I'd learned. 3 months after prioritizing family, I received an unexpected invitation. An exclusive entrepreneurship network called the Founders Alliance wanted me to join. The invitation was vague about specifics, only saying membership was by invitation only. I showed it to Margaret. She smiled knowingly. The Founders Alliance is real. It's a private network of successful entrepreneurs who support each other and collaborate on industry-changing projects. I'm a member. Why am I being invited? Because you've built something significant while maintaining integrity. The Alliance values both success and ethics. They think you belong. The meeting was scheduled for the following month at a private estate. The guest list included CEOs of billion-dollar companies, successful startup founders, and influential investors. I felt intimidated, but excited. Margaret assured me I'd earned my place. These people aren't better than you, Maya. They just have more experience. Go, listen, learn, and remember that your journey is as valid as anyone else's. At the gathering, I met entrepreneurs who'd faced similar rejections and betrayals. Everyone had a story of being told their ideas weren't good enough. The Founders Alliance meeting changed my perspective completely. I spent 3 days with 42 incredibly successful people who'd all overcome massive obstacles to build something meaningful. On the final evening, the Alliance founder, a woman named Victoria Chen, asked me to share my story. I told them everything. Sterling's rejection, Marcus's theft, building ConnectCore from nothing, the struggles, and eventual success. The room was silent as I described the journey. When I finished, Victoria said something profound. Maya, you've accomplished in 18 months what takes most people 5 years. But here's what impresses me most. You've maintained your values throughout. Many entrepreneurs compromise their principles for growth. You refuse. She explained that several Alliance members had been discussing ConnectCore. We believe your approach could transform how businesses operate globally. We'd like to help you scale to 100 countries within 5 years. The proposal was massive. The Alliance would provide resources, connections, and support to expand ConnectCore at an unprecedented scale. In exchange, they wanted partnership agreements that would benefit all involved. This isn't about taking equity or controlling your company, Victoria clarified. It's about collaborative growth. We succeed together. The opportunity was everything I'd worked toward. But it also meant making decisions that would affect hundreds of employees and thousands of clients. Asked for time to consider carefully. I spent weeks evaluating the Alliance's proposal with my leadership team, Margaret, and trusted advisors. The opportunity was incredible, but came with massive responsibility. Finally, I made my decision. I'd accept the Alliance partnership with specific conditions protecting ConnectCore's values and employee welfare. We signed agreements the following month. With the Alliance's support, ConnectCore expanded faster than I'd imagined possible. Within a year, we operated in 67 countries with over 800 employees. Annual revenue exceeded $48 million. But the most satisfying moment came unexpectedly. Sterling Consulting, struggling after years of poor leadership and failed initiatives, approached me with a surprising offer. They wanted ConnectCore to acquire their struggling digital division. The irony was beautiful. The company that had rejected my idea now wanted me to save their failed version of it. I met with Sterling's new CEO, a woman named Patricia Morgan who'd replaced Marcus after the board restructuring. Maya, we made terrible mistakes. Marcus's ego prevented us from seeing the value in your original pitch. We're hoping you'll consider acquiring our digital division and perhaps bringing your expertise back to Sterling in some capacity. I thought about it carefully. Revenge would be refusing just to watch them fail. But Margaret had taught me that real success means rising above petty satisfaction. I'll acquire the division on one condition. Every employee keeps their job with better training on authentic client relationships. The acquisition of Sterling's digital division was completed within 3 months. I brought 73 Sterling employees into ConnectCore, including several who'd witnessed my original humiliation. During the integration process, I ran into Sarah from operations. She looked embarrassed. Maya, I owe you an apology. When Marcus dismissed your pitch, I should have spoken up. I knew your idea had merit, but I was too concerned about my own position to support you. I appreciate that, Sarah. What matters now is moving forward together. Integrating Sterling's team taught me an important lesson about forgiveness and second chances. Most people who'd stayed silent during my rejection hadn't been malicious. They'd been scared or uncertain. Giving them a chance to be part of something better felt more satisfying than holding grudges. Connect Core continued growing. We became the industry standard for authentic client relationship management. Business schools studied our model. Competitors tried copying us, but missed the essential element: genuine care about clients as humans, not accounts. Then I received news that brought everything full circle. Marcus Webb reached out requesting a meeting. He'd left Sterling after being removed from leadership and spent 2 years in reflection. His message was humble and honest. Maya, I was wrong about everything. Your idea was brilliant. My ego prevented me from seeing it. I'm not asking for a job or a favor. I just wanted to apologize personally for how I treated you. I met Marcus at a quiet coffee shop. He looked different. Humbler, less arrogant. Maya, thank you for agreeing to meet. I know I don't deserve your time. We talked for an hour. Marcus explained how his downfall had forced him to examine his leadership style and values. Watching you succeed while I failed taught me something important. Business isn't about being the smartest person in the room. It's about recognizing good ideas regardless of who presents them. His apology seemed genuine. Part of me wanted to hold on to anger, but Margaret's wisdom echoed in my mind. Forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. I appreciate your apology, Marcus.
What are you doing now?
Trying to rebuild my career and reputation. It's been humbling. I thought about it. Connect Core is always looking for people who've learned from mistakes and are committed to our values. If you're interested, send me your resume. No promises, but I'll consider it. Marcus looked shocked. After everything I did, you'd even consider hiring me? People can change. If you've genuinely learned from your failures, that experience could be valuable. I didn't end up hiring Marcus, not because of revenge, but because his skills didn't align with our needs. But I did refer him to another company where he could contribute meaningfully. Showing grace without compromising standards felt like the right balance. The ability to forgive while maintaining boundaries was another lesson in mature leadership. Connect Core's growth continued steadily. By year 3, we operated in 89 countries with 1,200 employees. Annual revenue exceeded $92 million. But more importantly, we maintained our core values throughout the expansion. Every employee understood that our success came from genuine care about client relationships, not just efficient processes. I established the Connect Core Foundation to help aspiring entrepreneurs who'd been rejected and dismissed. We provided mentorship, seed funding, and support to people building businesses based on authentic values rather than just profit. Margaret served as the foundation's chairman. We personally mentored 15 entrepreneurs each year. One afternoon, I received a surprising call from a government organization. They wanted me to advise on economic policy regarding small business support and entrepreneurship. The opportunity to influence policy that could help thousands of entrepreneurs was incredibly meaningful. But it also meant stepping back from daily Connect Core operations. After discussing with my leadership team, I accepted the advisory position while transitioning to chairman of Connect Core's board. Our COO became CEO. It was time to trust the team I'd built. On my last day as CEO, I walked through our headquarters, looking at the hundreds of employees who believed in our mission. We'd proven that a company could be profitable while prioritizing authentic relationships and ethical practices. That evening, I called Margaret to thank her for everything. I'm writing this from my home office, reflecting on a journey that started with humiliation and ended with something I never imagined possible. It's been 3 years since Marcus laughed at my presentation in that Sterling conference room. Connect Core now operates in 94 countries with over 1,400 employees and annual revenue exceeding $120 million. But the numbers aren't what I'm most proud of. I'm proud that we built a company where values matter as much as profits, where employees feel valued and clients feel heard, where success is measured not just in revenue, but in the positive impact we have on business relationships worldwide. The ConnectCore Foundation has helped over 200 entrepreneurs launch businesses built on authentic principles. Seeing others succeed using lessons from my journey feels more rewarding than any financial milestone. Last week, I received a message through Founder Circle. A young entrepreneur had just been rejected by their company after presenting an innovative idea. "Your story gave me hope," they wrote. "If you could turn rejection into success, maybe I can too." I replied with the same advice Margaret gave me years ago. Rejection is data, not destiny. Believe in your vision, stay true to your values, and surround yourself with people who support your growth. When people ask how I went from a rejected employee to building a $100 million company, I tell them the truth. Success isn't about proving doubters wrong. It's about staying true to your vision when everyone says you should give up. It's about finding mentors who believe in you. It's about building something meaningful rather than just profitable. And it's about remembering that the people who mock your ideas today might be asking for your help tomorrow. The real victory isn't the money or recognition. It's knowing I built something that matters, something that's changing how businesses operate globally, something that started with an idea people called impractical. Sometimes the best revenge is simply succeeding while staying true to who you are.